Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Psychological Health Consultants and Services, and my program, Redefining Yourself. Today is Thanksgiving of 2018. Those of you that celebrate Thanksgiving, from my family to yours, happy Thanksgiving. Those of you celebrating by yourself for the very first time, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I am on my way to celebrate with my extended family and friends. And so I just wanted to come on before I leave. I had something on my mind. My mentor taught on the subconscious, the subconsciousness. And it really hit a spot for me because this is, as a trauma professional, this is something that I teach to those that are dealing with post-traumatic stress and complex traumatic stress. And one of the things that I always teach is, the when, say for example, you've been through a major accident or a major injury, a lot of time people don't die from the injury itself, they die from shock. When I was in the military, I was going through combat lifesaver course, and even basic training, the basic training of soldiering for first aid for soldiers. We learned the ABCs of first aid, which is, open airway, stop bleeding, and, get the circulation going. Well, the biggest thing was to treat for shock. Elevate the legs, put a cool rag on the forehead. If it's hot, make sure they get water. So the treatment of shock is very important, because that can actually cause a person to die as opposed to the injuries that they sustained. Well, I always taught, as powerful as the brain is a computer. It's the major computer system of the brain. And just to simplify, the brain also acts as a shock absorber. There we go. Shock absorber. And it protects the mind, one of the many functions. The brain will protect the mind to keep you from losing your mind. But the problem is that the brain can only hold so much to try to protect you. It'll compensate or overcompensate, and it can cause, fragmentation, which is what the term, not the term, but the mental health disorder called dissociative disorder, which is formerly known as multiple personalities. And it is a result from severe trauma where the mind begin to fragment in order to sustain the person. And it fragments into multiple personalities, each personality playing a role for that individual to be able to function, to protect the say, for example, the child or the person was traumatized at the age of 2 or 3. Well, these personalities develop to protect the 2-year-old personality, and they are distinct personalities. And in countries in which they believe in spiritualism and entities, they culturally and religiously believe in entities and spiritualism. They would say that the spirits have their own personalities, and for those that which was considered pathological is when they cannot implement it into their belief system or in their culture. Well, multiple personalities, they're distinct personalities that play a role. One may be a female, one would be a little boy, one would be a protector, one would be the person that they work on the job, one is the person that received the education. Each an individual personality, distinct personalities. And the thing about it is that the person is unaware when the mind switches into a new personalities. There's a big argument going on about whether that exists or not. I have seen it twice in my career. 2 times in my career have I seen it up close and personal. And they do switch, each one of them. We've seen the movie Sybil. We read the book When Rabbit Howls, for those of you that have. And there's different ways in which the person switches. There are YouTube videos about dissociative personality disorder, and I have seen it too when the person switches. It's not dramatic like you see in Hollywood, but you'll see them switch, or you see them switch and look at you, and I've seen facial expressions change. I went to my supervisor when I was I think I was an intern or as pre-licensed, and I was a little nervous about telling her, And I, because she's academic, and when I told her what I saw, she said, "Oh, you saw it too?" She says, "Yeah, I had a psychiatrist that taught me about it." And when I told her about, that the psychiatrist believed me, so she believed me when a lot of other people did not. But I know what I saw. I saw the change in the facial expression. I saw the change in the personality from a kid to an adult to a teenager to a boy. And in the beginning, when I was a young intern, a young therapist, it kind of shocked me because I'd never seen it before. So I couldn't believe that a facial feature could change structure. And it was amazing because I said, unless you have facial reconstruction surgery, there's no reason why I turn around and a person's face should look different. This was my experience. This is what I shared with my supervisor, and she, but for those that have never seen it before, they've studied it, it's hard to believe. It was hard for me to believe as well. Having said that, the brain fragmented because of the severity of the trauma. And so what I wanted to talk about was the fact that even before it becomes, or that is like a worst case scenario to the extent of what the brain can do to protect the survival of a human and a human mind. Well, narcissism is also, I can't really say a fragmentation of personalities, because they develop their own, it's not even a personality. They create their own character, and they mirror people. They mirror they mimic, they're chameleons, and so they study you to pick up on your language, how you talk, what your facial expressions look like when you do have emotions, or what triggers you and what works. And so it's that classical conditioning that I talked about before. And so in sessions, when I talk to people about trauma, I talk about the fact that the brain is capable of storing your trauma and the horrific parts to try to protect you in your subconscious memory. Well, by the time you come into counseling, behaviors, attitudes, moods, thought processes, all that, as we're doing an intake or an assessment, those are symptoms, symptomology. Just like a doctor will check, okay, well, you have a fever, your tongue is white, or you have an abdominal cramping, you have this, you have tenderness here. Those are all symptoms that point to a diagnosis. Well, when you come in and a mental health, a clinician assesses you, they're going by the symptoms that you disclose to us. They're going by behavior patterns, moods, your facial expressions, it's all of the nonverbal communication, or even the verbal communication, what you're telling us, the symptoms that all point to a diagnosis. Well, when you're dealing with trauma, a lot of times you can't connect the subconscious with the conscious memory, or you can't connect the two. So there you may get triggers. And so when you get triggers, and the reason why I'm talking about trauma is because those of you that have been through domestic violence, especially severe domestic violence and narcissist abuse, and this is what my program is about narcissist abuse recovery. Those of you that have been through narcissist abuse, some of you are suffering from post-traumatic stress and some complex post-traumatic stress. Complex meaning that you went through it. You went through the trauma for an extended period of time. You were constantly in it. It wasn't an event that happened and you got away. It was an event that continuously happens. Some of you have gotten out of the situation, but it's like the narcissist will not leave you alone. If you have children, they correspond through the children. They try to manipulate or hoover the children to get back at you because you went no contact. And so it's almost like it's never ending. It's the complex post-traumatic stress, and you're triggered constantly. Well, in your subconsciousness, sometimes you don't even remember all the things that have happened while you were in the relationship until maybe you start journaling, you go to counseling, and it re-traumatizes you. And so the brain holds on to those subconscious memories, and it will manifest itself in your behavior and major depression, disorder. And so the one thing that I say is that I really encourage you to go find a therapist that understands trauma, that understands, trauma, domestic violence advocate to protect you and your children. But there you have to separate yourself. Get a lawyer that understands domestic violence. Here in the great Northwest, in the state of Washington, here in Pierce County, where I am at, They have what's the Crystal Judson Family Justice Center, and they have resources to counseling. They have resources to the Northwest Justice Center, Justice Project, there we go, where there's lawyers that work on your behalf, especially if you're coming out of domestic violence. I don't know what it is in your states that they have, but you can look up like the YWCA. They also sometimes have legal assistance, or in the courthouses they have sometimes they have paralegals that come that will assist you. But you find something, or even a national hotline, and I have to look that up, but a national hotline to get more information on maybe lawyers that work pro bono within your state, but those that understand domestic violence and the games that the perpetrators play. Especially taking you to court, devaluing you, accusing you of things that are not true, operating through your children, harassing you through your children. When you go no contact, and that's the sad part, when you do have children with a narcissist, and there is no such thing as co-parenting. There is no such thing as co-parenting. They do not believe in rules. They do not believe in following orders. They do what they want to do, and they find their way around it. And so they even manipulate the courts, against you, especially if they go to court constantly knowing that you may not have the money to pay for legal assistance or lawyers. They'll constantly drag you through court. They constantly will make false claims about you, accuse you. And the one thing is that most people, men or women, you're so tired of the abuse after all the years that you'll probably lose emotional control. And when you lose emotional control, or when you lose control and you don't know how to, first of all, you have to understand that that's what they do. They want to invoke emotions. They want to invoke a response. Even when you have went no contact and you try to maintain, be cordial, make arrangements when you're picking up the kids, when you're doing this, they want the feel from you. And so they will do things to invoke your children, or talk to your children, or cross boundaries, and say things in order for you to respond to what they're doing, because they just need that fuel. Any kind of response from you is a fuel. They don't know what you're doing. They're trying to figure out what you're doing. They're trying to hoover you. That's what they're doing. They're trying to hoover you. So trust you me, they're probably looking at your social media to see what you're doing. They're looking, they're constantly, and that right there lets you know that they're probably not satisfied where they're at, or they're trying to look for an open door to see if they can still trigger you, because it's a game to them, and the more that they can hurt you, the more fuel they receive from that. But I did wanted to mention about the subconsciousness and what you've been through. And the longer you've been with a narcissist, the more injury you have, the more they have groomed you. And there was something that my mentor said, which was really on point. And what she said is that the more you keep going back, the longer you stay in the situation, as you're preparing yourself, or you're wanting to leave, or they discard you, the worse you're making it for the next person. For some of you, I know that they're probably left for a new supply, another woman, another man, and it really hurts you deeply in your heart. And now you're hoping that this new supply goes through what you go through. But think about it. You didn't want to go through what you went through. And though it's hard and it's heartbreaking, you can only feel sorry for the new supply, because you've trained, as she said, you've trained that narcissist very, very well, and they've trained you very, very well. And so you've created a bigger monster than what they were when they were with you. And so the next supply is receiving a narcissist that has been trained at a different level. And depending on what level they're at, when it comes to whether it's socioeconomic status, social standing. Now the narcissist is at a different level, and they're learning additional information to put into their bag of resources, their bag of tricks, and this time it's going to be even worse. So you don't know what that narcissist is going to do to that new supply, or even if they have children, their children. Keep in mind that there are, a lot of the narcissists, and this is not a general statement, meaning this is all narcissists across the board. Not all narcissists cheat, and not all narcissists are pedophiles or will molest their children or other children. But those that do, they have entered into a place, they may have done it to your children, have entered into a place in a new relationship where now they are grooming the children as well. And so if you're dealing with a narcissist that is dangerous to that capacity and has the ability or even the thoughts or attempting to, because there were red flags, you probably didn't catch them, they're going to do more damage in the new relationship. And the thing about it is that you have to stop it and remove yourself from the relationship. Those of you that have been through it, my greatest advice to you is, you have to go get your own recovery and understand what you went through. Get your emotions in control. Stay away from the narcissist. Go through the process, which is the grief and loss. For those of you that have lost a loved one, through death or anything else, the process of grief and loss is a very hard process. For those of you that may have lost a loved one a long time ago and you've learned to recover from that and you're at peace with it now, it's no different than, being discarded by a narcissist or being discarded or you discarding. But the one thing that the narcissist does is the narcissist will torment you or taunt you. And if you have children, they torment you and taunt you. That's the game. That's the game. You need to go and speak to domestic violent advocates. Talk to your the justice system, lawyers, to prevent this from continuing, because they're still abusing you. They're still attempting to abuse you. You stay no contact. You don't have to respond to that. But it is a process, and it takes a while to heal from that. So it is a long process of healing. So I don't encourage nor do I advise anyone to go right back into a relationship. You have to recover, and you have to learn to get beyond where you're at in your pain. Remember, your brain has been traumatized. Your brain is that shock absorber, and there's stuff in your subconscious you don't know that is there. And once you're triggered, sometimes the right trigger brings out stuff that you didn't know that was there. But I encourage each and every one of you to go and find help. Go find a counselor, a good counselor that you trust. Go find a good life coach. And as I've said before, I am working on my life coach program. Hopefully, I will be able to launch that in January or February of 2019. I do have a private practice here in the state of Washington. So to transition and do both at the same time takes a little work and coordination, because life coaching is not counseling. And so I cannot offer counseling across state lines because I'm not licensed in the states or the countries that you're in. And so coaching, is very specific, and mental health is very specific, so I cannot offer counseling across state lines. I can offer the counseling here in the state of Washington via face-to-face in my office. But coaching is a little different, where, we can establish goals. Where do you want to go? And I can coach you through the process. I will say that I am a former First Sergeant in the United States Army, served in the position of First Sergeant in the United States Army, led soldiers. And so I do bring, military experience with me, because that is exactly what we did while we were in the military. We did non-clinical counseling and coaching to coach people through their careers, to help them, to be promoted, to help them in endeavor, and to have their own soldiers, and to grow. And so that's something that we, those that have been in the military have done for many, many years. And to bring that into a civilian sector is kind of exciting to do it again. And so I am ready. I'm just putting together the program and the packet. And so if you're ready, it does cost. So it's not free services. The videos are free, and, we'll do some things that if you can't afford the coaching, we'll do some things that there's also paid. Is very detailed when it comes to webinars. And we'll get together as groups. Those of you that would like to chime in groups, you're welcome to ask me questions. I'm coming in as a coach, but I'm also coming in with the education and the background of a licensed mental health counselor, and a certified clinical trauma professional. And so, as many of the life coaches, when you hear them, when you talk to them, as you view their videos, we're also coming in with personal experience of having been in narcissistic relationships for over 22 plus years. And so we're coming in with experience, we're coming in with educational background, we're coming in with clinical experience, non-clinical experience, to provide you with information. And so hopefully this has helped you. I just wanted to come and say something to you before I leave and go enjoy some turkey and all that good stuff to put me to sleep for a few days. But I wish each and every one of you a happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you enjoy yourself. I hope you enjoy these videos. Please comment. If you have not already, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Carmen Bryant, DrCarmenBryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Please, when you subscribe, hit the bell so that you can be reminded whenever I upload a new video. I also have a personal Facebook page, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services. You are welcome to follow me. Sometimes I'm put little statements on there, but I encourage each and every one of you. This is a hard process. This is enlightenment. You've learned something, you found out something, and I hope this is helping you to unwind what has been wound in your mind, the gaslighting, the devaluing, the degrading. Remember, when a person releases words, that's why you have to be careful who speaks into your life. When a person releases a word, they're releasing seed into your life. If we tell you, be careful what you say to your children, because you can make them or break them. No different than when you're in a relationship. A narcissist knows that their words have power, they have energy, and they have influence. And it doesn't matter when you say, I just ignore it, I don't pay any attention to it. You listen to it long enough and they do it consistently. That's why we have talk therapy. You come to mental health services with a counselor or even with a coach, and talk therapy. We're releasing words into you to uproot those words that were planted before. And those are seeds. Those seeds grow into trees. They grow into thoughts. They grow. So they have to enter into the filter, into the port of your mind. And when they enter into the port of your mind, it's being filtered into your heart and filtered into your soul, your emotions. And that's where it's in that subconscious. And so those words that have been spoken in your life, those things that people have said in your ear, those narcissists, those abusers that have broken, your spirit, has broken your heart, those words, you're living off the words off of someone that has no value for themselves, period. They don't have value for life. They don't have value for people. They don't care. And so the words that they're releasing are the words that they live by. Now you're living by somebody else's words that are not even your thoughts. They have become your thoughts, and you have agreed. You have taken accountability and responsibility of people's words that do not belong to you. And that is not what you have thought about yourself. You are powerful. And now I'm speaking to the ladies. You're powerful. You're beautiful. It doesn't matter what you look like. You're beautiful and you're powerful, and you can stand up and you can do this. We can do this together. Men, you're powerful. You're kings. You can stand up. You can do this. Take those words and look where those words originated from. Where did those words come from? What are the root to that tree? What are the roots, that are spread out like an octopus, is like a big oak tree, and the words that you're living by. So hopefully this has helped you. This has encouraged you. I wish each and every one of you a happy Thanksgiving for 2018. Hopefully I will try to make it back tomorrow. Tomorrow I actually have an off day, and so today's not an off day, today's a fun day. Tomorrow is an off day, so I'm going to try to come on and talk to you about something. Leave comments, let me know what you're thinking. Give me some of your experience. This is a group. We're trying to create a village. We're trying to create a village of women. Men, you're welcome to come, but we're trying to create a village. It takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes powerful women to help powerful women make it, to help powerful women overcome, their abuse, other women that have been through what you've been through at different stages of their healing. So hopefully this has helped you. I want each and every one of you to enjoy, be safe, enjoy, don't eat, don't overeat, don't stuff yourself like a turkey, eat, save, sleep. Enjoy your families, and if you don't have any families, or if this is the first time being alone, find something, pamper yourself, get you a little foot bath, put on a mask, put yourself in a robe, lay on the couch and watch some Netflix, or if you have Amazon Prime, watch you some movies, enjoy your peace and quiet. Peace and quiet is sometimes scary for people that have always been in a chaotic atmosphere, that have always been in an atmosphere where you're walking on eggshells. So to be in a quiet place, sometimes you're expecting it to end. Sometimes when you have good things happen to you, you're always anticipating it not to last forever. Well, today I want you to make it last all day long, and then tomorrow is another day that we'll talk about. So each day, just like drug and alcohol counselors, every day is a new day for you, and every day you have to master that day. Enjoy yourself. Prop up your feet. Wrap yourself in a blanket and enjoy TV. I like Law and Order and Criminal Minds. I can watch a marathon all day if I had time. I like Forensic Files and FBI shows. That's just me. And find something that you like and watch it. Enjoy it. You guys have an awesome, awesome Thanksgiving, and thank you guys so much for all your support, your emails, your comments. Hopefully you've also read my comments back to you on YouTube. Thank you so much, and you guys have an awesome, awesome day. And as my friend always says, go and be great, and I add to it. I really mean that.